I have a story to share with you about 9/11. And obviously this was a very stressful time for many, many individuals. First, I want to help you understand stress and its source and how we can cope with it. We need to understand our feelings, our basic feelings. And those feelings really emanate from thoughts that we give ourselves. And so thoughts always precede our feelings. And there are 4 basic feelings: mad, sad, glad, and frightened. And so they're barometers. When we're driving our car, we watch all the barometers on our car to see if everything is running fine. In our life, we ignore our barometers. We assume they have no significance. They have an enormous amount of significance. So we really need to train ourselves at any given moment. Just stop, take a deep breath, and say, what am I feeling? And if you are feeling glad, wonderful, go ahead. If you're feeling mad, sad, or frightened, then you need to see, what is the source of this? What am I telling myself that is putting me in this negative situation, and how can I change that? Now, within the dictionary, there's many words that describe feelings. But we can begin with the 4 basic ones: mad, sad, glad, and frightened. And if you're feeling other than glad, then you want to understand, what can I do about that feeling? Let me just add some other feelings that you may feel also. Those are disgust, negative of course, excitement, which is normally positive, interest, positive, guilt, shame, which are negative, and surprise, which is normally positive. So those are other ones are possible. But if we just work with the basic ones, mad, sad, glad, and frightened, once you get an understanding of what you're feeling at that moment, find its source, and then figure a way that you can change the thought that you gave yourself that puts you in that negative posture, which is a posture of stress. You're going to be experiencing stress. You do not work well under stress. You are not feeling good about yourself or others under stress. It diminishes you and your performance. So you need to get rid of the stress as much as possible. Within the organization that I want to cite, they had experienced a horrendous stress as a result of the 9/11 because their building, where they were located, looked right into the buildings that were collapsing. In fact, their building was damaged, so they had to abandon that and move to another location. So that day was excessively stressful for them, as was a move to a new location, try to reorganize, get set up. And so they were giving themselves many negative messages, which probably had to do with anger and fright. I'm sure fright was high on the list. Is this going to happen again? All that kind of thing. So everybody was working in this stressful environment. They invited our company to come in to help them eliminate or reduce the stress as much as possible so they could get back on track. They were a prominent marketing company, and they felt that they were not serving their clients or customers very well in this very stressful environment in which they were working on a day-to-day basis. We went in, we provided significant in-depth training of the 4-way system, which helps them better understand their own personality, their needs, their strengths, their talents, their values, and better understand their colleagues that they work with so that they can be support for one another and diminish some of the ongoing work stress that they were experiencing and causing for one another as well. The workshop helped them all of a sudden understand the basic feelings, how they could take these feelings, and for themselves begin to reduce stress. It isn't like somebody can come in and wave a magic wand and the stress is gone. They must assume responsibility for the stress they're creating for themselves and make changes in it. And we talked about things that people do typically to cope with stress, regardless of the situation. And it's by personality. For example, the highly activated action personality, they need to do something very active. So they may go compete, they may swim, they may take walks, they may play basketball, but they need to do something very physical. And that relieves their stress for them. It's a way of getting out of it, after work, breaks, wherever. The organized people, because they are organized, find their greatest happiness and success when they organize something. And so if they can take on some new project and organize it, all of a sudden their stress diminished or faded away. The logical people overcome stress by trying to solve major problems or coming up with a new system or a new plan or a new concept or a new invention or a new model, and that occupies their mind, and they achieve a lot of happiness and they're in a glad kind of environment, if you will, and that eliminates stress for them. And the relationship people work best relieving stress when they're helping someone else. And of course, there are many people in this organization at the moment needed help, and so they could be support people for their colleagues and helping those people get rid of stress, which help the relationship people get rid of their own stress. Now, these are kind of generic ways people get rid of stress. There's many other ways, but one needs to catch it in the bud as much as possible at the very beginning by saying, what am I feeling right now? If it isn't glad, then what message did you give yourself that is putting you in this negative mindset and frame? And move them from that by changing the thought that got you there to a positive thought that puts you back in glad.